Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this special Hope Through Hoops evening presentation. I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. The ABA staff was talking over the need to do a video presentation a few weeks ago. And over the course of COVID, we had put out a number of videos, always centered around people finding ways to stay active when they couldn't be in the gym, but they could do at home. And so many organizations have done great work in trying to keep people moving forward. And we started thinking, man, I think kids have had enough of dribbling basketballs in their basement. I think they've had enough of throwing basketballs against the wall, going outside in the cold and shooting on an outside hoop. So we realized, let's do something fun. Let's do something that focuses on hope, and let's entertain people. And that's exactly what we're going to do tonight. That's how Hope Through Hoops came about. We have a fantastic lineup of guests. We have Jacob Hendy, the Executive Director for the Indigenous Sport Council of Alberta, longtime Senior Women's National Olympic Team regular, Marie Langhois. Ken King comes to us from Calgary. Ken does a ton of work in a variety of areas, and the areas that he's focusing on right now is to build people up mentally and physically. And then we have Shawnee Harley, who is no stranger to anyone in the basketball community in Alberta. And then we're going to turn to a high degree of fun with the amazing Hondo. And Hondo is going to marvel everyone with his magic with a message. And I think you're going to really enjoy what this man has to offer. I want to thank you all for joining us tonight. And there are a few people here that are special, and I don't know, I'm going to call out one of them right now, and that is my university coach, Coach Les Whitkey, and his wife, Judy, down in Kansas City, Missouri. I believe you're joining us tonight as well. Coach Whitkey coached both myself and the amazing Hondo as we were teammates together at Winona State University. I also want to give a great round of enthusiasm and appreciation to the staff at Alberta Basketball. They've worked extremely hard to put this together, and I'm very grateful for all the work that they've done. Now, for tonight, keep your cameras on, if you would, during the presentations, particularly during Hondo's presentation. You can also use the virtual clap meme down at the bottom of the screen. You'll see some reactions that you're able to tap into. And if you have a question, we don't have the chat room open tonight, but please email it to info@basketballalberta.ca. Again, info@basketballalberta.ca, and we'll get the answer back to you. All right, let's get started here. That's enough of me. We're going to start with our first guest, Jacob Hendy. Jacob, as I mentioned, is the Executive Director of the Indigenous Sport Council of Alberta. Jacob, in his bio, talks about how he is a family man. Jacob has 5 children, I believe. Is that right, Jacob? Okay, yeah, 5 kids. And so he walks the walk as well as talking the talk, that's for sure. But the first time I met Jacob, my impression was, wow, this guy has the it factor. He is committed to helping young people. He's committed to helping his community, and he's committed to taking opportunities to a new height. And so I want to give a big round of applause to Jacob Hendy for joining us tonight. Jacob.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Paul. I just want to say thank you, Alberta Basketball, and Paul, sir, and Jeff, and the others that I've met and worked with the last couple of years. You guys are amazing. I emulate your guys' organization and work to get the Indigenous Sport Council of Alberta to be running and effective and smooth as you guys. You guys have been amazing to help out our Indigenous individuals, families, and communities. Just a little bit about myself. My dad was a hippie. Mom was a Valley girl. I was born just outside of Los Angeles, California. Grew up in Utah. Lived in a border town of the Ute reservation, Native American reservation down there. Lived in Canada for 2 years, in Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and Ontario. Did some service work and really got to love the Canadian people, and came home and I walked on at college. and university football. And I had so many naysayers and people telling me no. And I'm going to share tonight some of the ways that I have hope and inspiration that helped me overcome the naysayers when a lot of them were even my family. I became a top sales manager I was in the industry for 12 years, all over North America. In 2016, I became the CEO for the Edmonton Native Ball Association, which is the Alberta Indigenous Games that runs that. It's the biggest multi-sport Indigenous summer games on a yearly basis in North America. And then in 2019, I became the executive director for the Indigenous Sport Council of Alberta. And we share the same building there as Alberta Basketball. And I absolutely love working. It's a dream job for me, working with our Indigenous people of Alberta. It's truly amazing. And so I just want to share what gives me hope and inspiration during these times. When I was in high school, I had a very traumatic experience that shook my foundation of my hope and joy in life. And, you know, my hope and joy at that time was built upon my family and football and basketball and baseball. And that was it. And so my family got torn apart and I was empty. I love basketball. I love football. I love all that, but I just still feel empty. And so for me, I'd always believed in God, but for me, I started exercising, I guess, that and getting to know my creator. And that's one thing I love about working with Indigenous organizations. Almost all of our meetings, we start thanking our creator with a prayer. And at the end, at almost every meeting, it's pretty special. And so for me, that's what gave me that hope. And so I had that foundation of my relationship with God, that no matter what happens, a death of a loved one, school can go wrong, an injury, challenge at work, you know, a death of a friend or family member, a pandemic, it's still going to be challenging. It'll still be tough, but I can still have inner peace and joy. And so for me, number one, I just want to share that. That's a big, big source for me. And the biggest thing, what I did was I couldn't control what happened in my life that's challenging, but I could live my choice every day the best that I could for the future Jake, the future version of myself, and for my future family. I wanted to have a family one day. And so I just focused on the little choices because that makes up a big person of who you are. Goals, a big thing for me is setting goals. Right now, I set goals for myself, for my family. And my family is the next biggest thing. You know, I love my wife, Shake Crowfoot. It was her maiden name. She's from Siksika Nation, just outside of Calgary. I have 5 beautiful children, Talita, Jacob, Kalila, Elijah, and Eliana. We just had a newborn, so we've been really busy with her. And I just love seeing them every day. They give me a lot of hope and inspiration. I have a friend who's a doctor. He once told me he's spent a lot of time with elderly, taking care of them in their dying months in the hospitals. And he said that there's a consensus of overall, the biggest regrets that people share and talk about is they wish they would have had more time with their family. They wish they would have had more time with their family. So big thing for me is I'm a big family man. I love spending time with my family. I cherish the relationships that we have because we never know, you know, and especially for youth out there, you're not going to be with your mom and dad as you get older. Eventually one day you're going to be on your own and you won't be with your siblings every day, even though they annoy you. And I try to teach my kids that. And so we got to learn to do that. A big thing that helps me get through this is being grateful. Every day I try to look and see what I'm grateful for. You know, live in a free country. And every one of you that are watching this, you guys have so many amazing talents and gifts and you're incredibly talented. And I've seen that through Alberta basketball. And, you know, what can we do while we're here with those talents? And COVID's kind of allowed us a pause to take inventory and to look at certain things that we can develop that maybe we wouldn't before because we're so busy running around doing everything. I love reading. I love spending time with my family. I love waking up in the middle of the night to feed our daughter and talking with my wife about our children or watching our favorite Netflix show. I have a healthy balance though on the Netflix. I love family history. COVID's allowed me to really look into family history. Our ancestors, all of us on here have ancestors that were amazing, that rooted up, and other than the Indigenous people here, like my wife's family, you were already here, but everyone else moved from an entirely different country, continent, and are here. And they went through some incredible challenges. And so I love learning about my ancestors and who they were and what they did. And there's so many resources right now we can find out about that. One of the things that really helps me out is staying busy with work, just staying busy. And so I know youth out there staying busy with school, your chores around the house, you know, supporting your siblings. but I was in a pipe ceremony once at the Alberta Indigenous Games, and there's an elder, his name's Francis Whiskey Jack. And he shared with me about the medicine wheel teachings. And you can Google up medicine wheel teachings. And what they are is they focus on 4 areas. So if you imagine a pie chart split into 4 of physical, spiritual, mental, emotional. And he says, if you're off balance in one of those areas in your life, it throws off your whole overall well-being. So I've really focused on working hard to do the best that I can physically through working out at home with my family, doing exercises. Can't really go anywhere, but doing things from home. And through our Indigenous Sport Council Alberta, we've done this at-home online fitness challenge. If you go to our Facebook page, you'll see our groups and our challenges. It's been very incredible keeping everybody healthy and busy. But a lot of things we can't control right now during COVID. Sometimes visiting our friends or family we can't do, practicing, eating, sometimes getting in a restaurant. But what we can control is our physical health. And when we're physically healthy, that helps us mentally. And that helps us have good mental health. And when that helps us mentally, it helps us emotionally and it helps us spiritually as well. And so for me, that was a big thing, you know, focusing on what we can control. It can help us out with school and doing our chores and dealing with our siblings, our family members, our teachers, certain things that can be frustrating in life that can really help us out. Basketball, I love basketball. I train my 3 brother-in-laws to play college and university basketball. They're the Crowfoot brothers. And just the little things. It sounds like you guys have already been doing this, plyometrics, jump rope, ball handling, all that. We can only do so much, but this is the good mental part. And I love this activity here tonight. Just encouraging, you know, setting goals is a big thing. Goals for life, not just basketball, but other goals, you know, working on them. COVID's really allowed, I found for our family, time. The biggest thing is time, because we get so busy with all these practices and this and meetings and that, and we've really been able to spend time with each other. Another thing to be careful of, I guess, that helps is social media and being on it too much. That can kind of kill your hope, and to not compare. We should never compare ourselves to anyone else. We are all special. We all have individual journeys. We're all on earth at this time in the history of the world. It's pretty special. And I believe there's a reason for everything. And it's not about the end, but it's about the journey. It's about enjoying it. That's why Tom Brady, I'm a big football fan. I know we're in Canada here. Hockey is a big thing. And this is basketball. Tom Brady loves the journey. That's why a lot of people don't play that long, is because the journey is just too exhausting for him. They're worried about the end result. And if they're not going to win a Super Bowl or this or that, but he loves the journey. And so while we're here during this pandemic, enjoy the journey, enjoy the best that we can, smile, laugh every day, live so that you have no regrets. You know, when we make mistakes, it's okay, because we will. Look at them, you know, look for the positive. As a very successful friend, one of my friends, he's from Israel, who's one of the top managers in North America. He said, we win some or we learn some. He's like, Hendy, we win some or we learn some. That's his phrase. Instead of win some, lose some, we win some or we learn some. So I just recommend everybody take that, some advice, and there we go. Thank you, Paul. Thank you to be here. I'm so excited to hear the other presenters and to see the amazing Hondo magic show. So thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll tell you what, this next guest, Marie Langhois, I've had the opportunity, as most of the members of our ABA staff, over the past 8 years, the senior women's national team, the Olympic team for Canada basketball, has made their home in Edmonton. 7 of those years have had this young lady as part of the women's national team. She's played for the team for 7 years, representing our country. She's traveled all over the world. She won numerous championships at Windsor University, where she had a double major. She's currently completing her master's in management, innovation, and entrepreneurship. She's also assisting at the University of Toronto, focusing on player development and community building. She believes in the power of community and perseverance. And if you've ever watched Mia Maria play, you know that's exactly how she plays, with tremendous perseverance. When I heard that she was available and was willing to come on, I couldn't have been more excited. So without further ado, I'd like to present to you Mia Marie Langhois.
Thanks, Paul. So to pronounce my name, it's Maya Marie Langhois.
Okay, I butchered that.
I'll say that one more time, Maya Marie Langhois.
Okay.
Sorry, no, it's all right. I grew up, people always got my name wrong. So you know, it's a good practice. So, you know, I want to talk about something that, you know, a lot of players or whoever, whatever sport you do, it doesn't even matter the competition level. But if you play sports, unfortunately, you will get hurt. There, you know, when you're moving your body that much, there's almost no way around it. So I have been hurt many times. I've gotten 2 surgeries, one on my shoulder, one on my spine. And, you know, I'm still standing and running. However, it's not that I trust the doctors and the physiotherapy around me to get my body back to mind or back to place. But it's kind of what Jake was alluding to earlier in terms of, you know, it's more than just you have to have your body right. There's 4 components to it. So I wanted to talk about, okay, so what's the mental side of, you know, a player trying to return to a sport and going through those mental battles? Because when you think about it, you know, a lot of young kids, young adults and older adults, you know, we all love to play sports, right? And growing up, I've been playing basketball since I was 7 years old, and I haven't stopped since. But the longest time I had to sit out of basketball was when I first got my shoulder surgery, right? So from playing every day from when I was 7 to saying, no, you just got to stay home, sit down and rest and recover. You can't work out. You know, something that I love was taken away from me. And even though it's temporarily, 9 months seems like forever. You don't see the bigger picture at first. So I just want everyone to understand, first off, everyone gets injured, and, you know, you will be hurt mentally and emotionally. So it's really important to understand a couple steps that I took in order for me to get back from my shoulder and spine surgery to, you know, essentially compete at the Olympics and multiple world championships. So, and I've learned over the years of the important things. And I think the first one is to really understand that you're not alone almost, and that you need other people to help you to help you return and to come out on top. So that could be anybody between your mom, it could be your friends, someone just to talk to, saying, you know, I really want to go outside and play basketball right now, but I know I shouldn't. And that would actually help avoid a lot of, you know, returning to sport too soon or overtraining when your body's just not there, because emotionally and mentally you want to be on the court because you feel like you're missing out on things, right? So I started to surround myself with a lot of support, but I didn't at first, which really took a toll on me. And it probably took me longer to come back from injury. So, you know, I kept talking to my physiotherapist, just telling her everything I felt. I spoke to my mom. I had one good friend, a basketball teammate who I could confide in during those tough moments. And then it's almost just to have, you know, accept that you will have anger. There will be frustration, and, you know, there will be tears, but try not to suppress them. The most important thing is to get through them, so they're not lingering around with you, you know, that fear of, what if I don't come back strong? What if I'm not as good? The moment you're out the court, go through that. It's almost therapy for your body and your mind, because those suppressed feelings will come up, and your injury, rather than lasting 9 months, right, might turn out to last 17 months because you had to heal your body and your mental state. So, you know, and this is something that, you know, it's not just sports related. You will go through hard times, that you're removed from something that you really love. I mean, we're all kind of going through it right now with, you know, the sense of freedom. But basketball is definitely a sport that you can practice your everyday life in. So, you know, it's almost like a awareness of how you can transfer your skills to life and your life to basketball. Sorry. Okay, so what has helped me keep a positive mindset through COVID? Okay, so my little secret is that I started to realize everything's connected, right? So I try to throw myself in, as you can hear from my intro, into a lot of different things, a lot of different activities, learning new things while I was originally preoccupied either from work, from school, or just constantly basketball training. And I try to follow my interests more, because after basketball, like once you retire, you do have to find another hobby. So it's really good to start thinking about that now, and to like multiple things and not just one thing. You can master basketball, sure, but always keep on developing other skills outside of basketball, because those skills that you develop are always transferable anywhere you go. And at the end of the day, I am so grateful that I got to play basketball, something I love. And it has given me quite the opportunity. I've traveled the world. I've met so many wonderful people. And it allowed me to build skills on and off the court, and off being, responsibility, time management, decision-making, confidence. It's a character building. And as far as, if you can take basketball as far as you can, and you actually love what you do, then, put your whole heart into it. And that's it.
Maya Marie, first of all, I'm sorry. I'm too old to be embarrassed. I heard that and this is a true story. That's how I heard your name pronounced when I first met you, from someone else, obviously not from you. So my apologies. Thank you so much for that message, Maya Marie. Just such a fantastic athlete, such a fantastic presence on the court. And it's just a real pleasure to have her with us tonight. Our next guest, Ken King. Now, unlike the previous guest, Ken, I hope I got your name right. Okay, I handled that one. All right. Ken has over 10 years of experience in university sport and education, as well as private consultation and training. Ken works with Canada Basketball as a coach educator, coached men's and women's basketball at the university and elite club areas. He presently works in the private sector with training teachers, healthcare professionals, and large corporations on how to understand, train their mind and body in order to improve their daily performance, as well as working on the basketball court. So I'm pleased to present to you Ken King.
Well, yeah, Paul, I don't have a lot of people pronounce my name wrong, but I appreciate that. And you did get it right. And I don't know where you got that bio, honestly, because I'm thinking that somebody on my side probably wrote it at some point, but that sounded pretty good the way you read all that out. So I appreciate the kind intro. It's pretty cool for me to talk after Maya, because the last time I saw Maya not wearing a national team jersey was when I was coaching with the Laurentian men, and we were at Windsor, and she was still hooping at Windsor. So she had a few less injuries at that point and was still feeling fresh in those days, but still played hard back then too. So I appreciate the opportunity to follow you, Maya. And I have a little bit of a visual, because unlike the people that went before me, I can't remember what I'm going to say unless I have some cues in front of me. So they're a little bit more talented than I am, but I need a little bit of a cue so that I remember what's going on here. So a little bit about what I'm doing now. As Paul mentioned, I've coached a lot. I've coached in some different areas, and I love coaching. I haven't been able to coach over this past year, and that's been hard, just like it's not easy for many of you to be able to play. Many of you are coaches not being able to coach. And we've built our company, and actually speaking about Maya, I feel like what she's doing her master's in, I might be looking at having her come on board sometime here soon, because that stuff sounded pretty nice. But we've built our company to be somebody who's pursuing the leading edge of culture analytics, or measuring culture in groups. And we're just piloting a software now with some of the forward-thinking teams here in this country. The UBCO men's and women's team are actually piloting our Flow software, which measures basketball IQ and cultural fit within a team. So it connects individually to the values of that program and the systems that they run, and can track how well somebody fits, whether it's a recruit or a current player, into the vision for that program. So that's one of the projects that we're working on. It's all data-based. We collect a lot of data, and we use some third-party companies to give us data as well. And that's where a lot of our habit work that I'm going to talk about today comes from. So when we when we talk about building habits, very, very often it's presented as something that's extremely challenging, just because it's not really something that you can just change overnight. And many times we give up on those habits. And while I understand that, it's kind of it's a habit to build habits, there's actually some basic steps that can go into building them that can help us. So I'm going to talk a little bit about a few of those here. So I'm not going to start with step 3. I got a little impatient and clicked a bunch. I'll start with step 1. So step 1, one of the key things that we're finding through a lot of our data is that we need to do a better job of building awareness. And awareness is relative. And I think both people who went before me talked a little bit about control, or what's within and what's outside of your control. So when I talk about awareness, what I'm really talking about here, this is why usually I have somebody do the buttons for me. What I'm really talking about here is understanding what is within and what is outside of your control. And this is a skill. This is something you have to practice. And this is a great time to practice it, because there's so many things in the world right now that are outside of our control. So some of you might have gotten decent at this just by default. You had to get good at figuring out what's in and outside your control. And identifying what is most important to you comes from that. In addition, when we're talking about building awareness, we really want to talk about a little bit of journaling. Now, I'm not a big journaler. I'm not able to just get all my thoughts down in a book the old-fashioned way, and I'm not really that good at staying consistent with it. But one thing that I took from a friend of mine, his name is Matthew Dix. He's an author. He's a professional storyteller. He's actually on the advisory board for our company as well, so he's become a friend of mine. But he shared with me something he calls homework for life. And we've adapted that a little bit to build it into something that tracks learning about what is in and outside of control in your life. So it's actually pretty simple. Every day, you just at the end of the day reflect by putting into a spreadsheet some of the events of that day, and then think about each moment individually, and beside it, just put a little C or a little U for whether that was outside of your control, for a U, uncontrollable, or C for inside of your control. It was something that you could do something about at that time. What you'll find is many of the things that you had a high emotional reaction to were probably actually outside of your control, and you probably put some effort into those things that you didn't need to, that you should have put a little bit more into your controllables. And so when we start looking back through and identifying what is in and outside our control, we really start to feel the ability to feel a little bit more gratitude, which was spoken about already, but also a little bit more calm about what we can actually do with our lives at any given time. Step 2 to starting to build elite habits during this time or any other are to start to do the same thing, but with your habits. So listing some of the habits you have: wake up, shut off the alarm, brush teeth, hopefully at some point, eat breakfast. You should, it's a super important meal. Move a little bit, so a little bit of exercise. What do you do in the morning? Do you sit down and have a little bit of time to just be quiet before you start your day, or you're always rushing off and sleeping in? Listing your current habits is really important, and being aware of them as well. Then identify the habits that are effective or ineffective. So many people refer to habits as being positive or helping them, or negative and hurting them. But habits aren't really positive and negative. They're more effective habits that better your life, that better you and better those around you, or ineffective habits that don't better your life and they don't better you and those around you. So starting to identify those in a similar way that we identify what's inside and outside our control. Then just committing to some small changes in some of the ineffective habits, not really big ones, but just small ones. So if you want to exercise more, wake up tomorrow and do 5 push-ups. Try to do that for a week. That's those little baby step changes to building effective habits that make a big difference, and the greats are really good at. So some data to back this up that I think is really important for many of the people on here. More than 80% of the post-secondary athletes, so these are in North America, the US and Canada, in our data, said that their daily habits are actually things that are intentful. So they're really paying attention to them, and they're doing them to get better or to make themselves more effective. What this says is that when we don't pay attention to our habits, we really limit ourselves and our potential to grow and get better. Step 3 now is starting to see the difference between waiting, taking, and making. And there's a couple negatives here. So waiting is when you're just kind of sitting there waiting to get taller, which many of us have done in our lives, where we just really want to be taller as a basketball player. So we're waiting for something to change. We also have many moments in our lives where we go out and we take some attempts. And it's important to start, it's important to try, but we're really focusing on taking. A little bit better than this is the idea of making. So many coaches will tell you, and I've told some of my athletes this, instead of going out and taking 100 shots, go out and make 100 shots. It's a little more effective. But really what I want to talk about today is the idea of making your own luck and becoming a maker. And if you want to become a maker, whether it's shots, whether it's being more active or physical activity, whether it's having a little bit more control over your emotions, whether it's anxiety, stress, that kind of thing, making your own luck comes from much of what I've talked about already. Identifying what you can control and identifying habits you want to build with intent. As I said before, people who've made it to the post-secondary sport level are people who do habits with intent to make their lives more effective and the lives of those around them more effective. And next is to make those steps that you're taking towards those habits controllable. So those controllable small steps make a huge difference in getting where you want to go. And then lastly here, just before I wrap up, I'm just going to touch on the fact that consistency is key. If we're consistent at anything, small or large, the odds of it becoming elite for us are much higher. It doesn't mean big steps, it just means consistent steps. So again, if I want to be more active, I can start by doing 5 push-ups every day for a week and see where that gets me. Am I more active? Totally. Is it within my control? 100%. Am I aware of what I'm doing with a purpose? Yes, I am. And every one of those push-ups counts towards me being a little bit more active, and it's really important. And the last thing I want to leave you on today, because we see this a ton during COVID from post-secondary athletes, some of the pro athletes that we've surveyed, and some of the high school and a little bit younger athletes that I've worked with, is that if your goals and your habits are yours, it's way easier to accomplish them. It's not to say that people, whether it's a coach or a parent or a friend who are giving you suggestions, are wrong. But if you can find a way to frame habits and goals in a way that make them your own, it makes it so much easier to make it something that you feel in control of, that you can consistently commit to, and something that you can take baby steps at every way. So find habits, find goals that you're passionate about, and those things will lead you to that mountaintop of accomplishing and building a new effective habit that can help change your life.
Ken, thank you very much. That was awesome. Lots of good advice in there. Now, Ken, I want to get this straight, though. If I understand you correctly, waiting, taking, and making. Does that mean it was okay for my teammates to always be waiting because I was taking most of the shots but not making quite enough? I wonder what if that was exactly what your motivation was. I think we need to realign those priorities, don't we?
I think you should ask Hondo how he feels about that, probably.
We played together a lot, and I don't think I'm far off. Next,
probably.
We played together a lot, and I don't think I'm far off. Next guest is no stranger to so many people across Canada, and I have Shawnee Harley's Winning Matters biography here, but I'm only going to read you the first paragraph because I think this sets the table pretty well. Shawnee is a 2-time Olympian as an assistant coach for the Canadian women's team and is the most highly certified coach in Canada. I'm going to read that sentence again. Shawnee is the most highly certified coach in the nation of Canada. She has 26 years of elite coaching and leadership experience, including the Olympic Games, World Championships, FIBA Americas, and the World University Games. Other than that, Shawnee doesn't do much with her time, so she is just outstanding. We had the privilege of working with Shawnee for several years with the Alberta Basketball Association and coaching development. She has touched countless athletes' lives, families' lives. She works really comfortably in the corporate and business sectors, and we're just so pleased on Hope Through Hoops to have Shawnee Harley. Shawnee.
Well, let's see if I can figure out how to share my screen as step one. But it says host has disabled participant screen sharing. So if someone can let me in, that would be truly wonderful. And in the meantime, you just have to sit here and look at me. Try it again, still not quite there. I think people are working on it in the background though. That's my feeling. How are we doing, people? Oh, it says I'm sharing my screen already? Really? What you got, Paul?
I see a lot of very lovely faces right now, but I do not see your screen, Johnny.
Okay, somebody worked their magic.
There we go.
The background. Thank you, whoever that magician. We have more than one magician on the show tonight. Hey, my name's Shawnee and my business is Winning Matters. And here's what's cool about winning tonight. We're gonna win with hope. What a great game to be playing, the game of hope. Here's what I believe about hope. I believe it is a choice. Think about that for a moment, people. Hope is a choice. We can choose to be hopeful. That means we can go towards the lightning, and we can choose to be unhopeful. And you're going to say, oh, come on. It's not that easy, is it? Well, it's simple, but what I've learned is most things in life that are simple, they are definitely not easy. So I'm going to give you some ideas about how to make it easier. I want to begin with thinking about our thoughts. I just find this absolutely fascinating. Do you know that we have up to 60,000 thoughts a day? 60,000! Can you, 60,000? It's so many. Did you know 80% are negative? And 95% are repetitive. So we continue to think about the same negative things over and over and over. Well, if we have 60,000 thoughts, what are you doing with them? Are you choosing hopeful thoughts? Or are you settling for unhopeful thoughts because we're in COVID right now? There can't be that much hope out there. Well, I tell you what, I work with hundreds of athletes, and I'm really tired of the groupthink. And the groupthink, this is what I hear athletes saying. I'm only going to give you 3 little bullet points because I only have a short time. I'm losing my fitness. I'm so sick and tired of team Zoom calls. Here's a good one. If I have to go down to the basement one more time and practice my dribbling drills, and I hear this group think about how bad it is, how terrible it is, how unfair it is. Well, what about leading the way? What about jumping out of that goldfish bowl? What about thinking, you know what, there's lots of ways that I can stay fit. I might not like them, but I do need to be creative. I do need to be disciplined. Heck yeah, you need to be disciplined. Self-discipline is one of the foundations of mental toughness. For Zoom, you could say, you know what, I don't like it. I'm really sick of looking at my teammates, but it's the best way to connect. For now. For now means this is temporary. And mental toughness says anything that's temporary, we can manage it because we know it will come to an end. If you don't think those dribbling drills are going to pay off in the basement, you're wrong. Anytime you're investing in yourself, in your game, there is always a payoff. So choose hope. Take that no hope sign out of there. How do you choose hope? You choose your thoughts. You have 60,000 of them. Why don't you have some say over that? Choose them. Choose as many of them as you can. How do you do that? I'm going to give you an acronym. The acronym is WAIT, and it stands for What Am I Thinking? Here's what I love about that acronym. WAIT means wait, pause, stop, chill, take a deep breath. Think about what you're thinking about, because you're having 60,000 thoughts. What would happen if you actually started thinking about what you're thinking about? And then what's next? I have a simple formula, 2 steps, people. You can remember 2 steps. Here's the first one. Wait, I just told you what it is. Pause. Ask yourself, what am I thinking right now? And notice, are you having a no hope thought? A negative Nelly thought? Oh, do I have to go down to the basement again? I'm so sick and tired of Zoom calls. When you notice that, here's the most important part of the formula. Choose. What a gift to be able to choose. You can choose a hopeful thought. There's a million hopeful thoughts out there just waiting for you to grab onto them. You're going to have 60,000 thoughts a day. Why not choose hopeful ones? So your mission, should you choose to accept it, is this challenge. Set a daily reminder. It could be once a day. It could be 3 times a day. It could be once an hour. It's totally your call. When that reminder goes off, stop, wait, and ask yourself, what am I thinking right now? Think about what you're thinking about, because you're having 60,000 thoughts. Pay attention to them. Are you having a no hope thought? Step 2, choose. There I am in this no hope thought. What else can I do? What else can I think about? I can choose a hopeful thought. That is your mission, if you choose to accept it. That starts first thing tomorrow morning. And if you're really keen, it starts tonight.
And let me know that you're here. Let me know that you're listening. Tell me who you are, where you are.
I can hear some background noise, but I get to choose my thoughts about that, don't I? I can say this is hopeless, or I can say, you know what? Let's just carry on. I'm going to choose hope. I want you to consider this saying, be, do, have. What does that mean? It means be willing to do what it takes to have what you want. So my question for you, what do you want? Do you want hope? Or do you want no hope? You have the power. Choose hope. I'm done, Paul.
Thank you very much, Shawnee. You know, I've been excited about this evening, but geez, I've got to introduce one more. I'm so